When I first started working out, I'd skip leg day all the time because let's be honest, it can be brutal and so taxing on your nervous system. But as someone who loves sports, as someone who appreciates a functional and athletic physique, you simply cannot ditch leg day. Now, the most functional and athletic muscle in your lower body is your glutes. It's not just for the ladies. It will make you look better in clothes. Let me show you how to grow a juicy butt without burning yourself out with heavy squats. When I used to do heavy squats and I was gearing up to do a PR on a back squat, 3 days before the actual entrance to the gym, I'd be thinking, all right, okay, I'm going to do 120, I'm going to do 130, I'm going to do 140. And I'm thinking about this days before, burning myself out. All right, come on, let's go. You do that one set, you go home, you pass out on the couch. And the same is true of the deadlift, not to mention the massive injury risk that you don't see now because you're in your 20s or your mid-late 20s. But once you get to 30, 40, 50, it's going to take a toll on your knee, your lower back. Is it really worth it so that you can show off to your chat friends like, hey, look how much I can squat? The trade-off is a little bit messed up. What do? We need to find compound exercises that don't carry so much weight but can just as effectively give you that amount of glute activation, time under tension, and muscle hypertrophy. All the ingredients that we need to grow that round butt. What do we do when we cannot do a back squat with so much weight? We chop the strength in half by doing it single leg. This is the easiest way you can lower the weight but get the same amount of activation. Plus, you can actually start to engage your core muscles and your obliques for balance. Now you're starting to really make the movement into an athletic and functional movement. So again, you're killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Number 1 on the list is the Bulgarian split squat. Amazing exercise for your glutes. Okay, if you are a lady who's trying to grow your butt, you've probably seen Bulgarian split squats as number 1 everywhere because yes, they activate your glutes like crazy. You want to almost bend your torso forward to accentuate that glute activation rather than being upright, which works more your quads. Couple that with what? Single leg deadlifts. Single leg deadlifts, and you can do this with body weight or the simplest, lightest dumbbells on each hand. And I've even made an athletic variation that I copied from a Korean football player, and they activate your hamstrings, your lower back, and your glutes, again forcing you to balance a lot, even more than Bulgarian split squats. Whereas just a conventional deadlift, you're just like a strong man trying to lift some heavy shit. That's it. Those two, the single-legged squat and the single-legged deadlift, are the 2 best exercises you can do that are compound movements, works your balance, super functional, super healthy, but also works your glutes like crazy. I'll just add another one into the mix, which is another variation of a single-legged squat, which is the pistol squat. If you can build up to doing pistol squats or even pistol squats with dumbbells on each hand, then yes, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes will be activated as well. If you want a structured guidance on how to build up to all of these exercises, from the simplest versions to doing, weighted pistol squats, then I do have a bodyweight training program below. A lot of people loving it, so check that out. All right, next. Hips are for thrusting. The way you want to think about not just your glutes, but every muscle is, what is that muscle designed to do primarily? And then you want to focus on getting stronger and better in the primary function of that muscle. So for the chest, it's pushing, for the back, it's pulling, and for the hips and glutes, it's thrusting forwards. If you do martial arts, let's say you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay, how many times have you tried to glute bridge or hip thrust someone in order to try and sweep? If you do boxing, how many times have you been told the power in the punch doesn't come from your arms, but from hip rotation and pivoting and thrusting through your hips? That's where the power comes from. If you think about football, right, the power in the shot is not necessarily your quads or your legs, it's the hips, it's the flexion. If you see professional volleyball players mid-smash, their body literally folds like that. It's all in the hips. I go on about the hips a lot. And when you thrust your hip forward, it's your glutes that do that. So what is one exercise you can do? is the hip thrust. The barbell hip thrust is an amazing exercise that you can start adding a lot of weight to. Hip thrust is not going to get you injured as often as, squats or deadlifts. Now, here's a trick. I like to actually do barbell hip thrust on the Smith machine, because when you have to set up a hip thrust, you have to put the yoga mat there, you have to bring the bench over, you have to put something between the bar and your hip, because as the weight gets heavier, it's gonna grate on your hip bone too much. So you got to get another yoga mat in between the bar, and it just gets too much. Put the weight back, you do 3 sets of hip thrusts, you've spent 35 minutes. So what you do, you just get the Smith machine, so the racking, unracking of the weights is fast, everything's just simple, and you get pretty much the same amount of activation, because the hip thrust isn't really about balancing left and right, so you're not losing that much functionality wise if you move over to Smith machine variation. And what are you doing? Saving your mental energy, right? It's just these little things, they count. You save that energy so that you can use it on the Bulgarian split squat, where you will probably be crying, right? They say keep your head down so nobody catches your eye contact in the mirror, because they're going to see the ugliest version of your face if you're doing Bulgarian split squats. But look, let's not finish there. How do you make hip thrusts if you don't want to do all that weight racking? Single-legged hip thrusts, another amazingly effective exercise that's body weight, so it's less taxing on your brain, but activates your glutes like crazy. You can start even adding plates and dumbbells to your hips as you do it, and trust me, it is not easy. And if you're someone if you're Chad powerlifting all the time, I urge you, start including these bodyweight movements to your routine. You're gonna be amazed at how effective they are. You might get sore again. Secret bonus exercise. This exercise is an absolute beast. Not only does it work your glutes and your lower back and your hamstrings, it's super healthy to prevent lower back pain and back injuries, and it is the reverse hyperextension. What makes it even more amazing is that it's so versatile. You can do it anywhere. You can do it on your kitchen table, you can do it on the kitchen counter, you can do it on a bench, you can do it on a chair. You just need a little bit of creativity, and boom, you've got yourself one of the best exercises for your posterior chain. Don't underestimate this. If you think this is easy, do 10 reps with a light dumbbell wedged between your feet. Tell me how that feels. The final tip that I have for you guys, kind of as an extension to the bodyweight training aspect, is to actually train your glutes by doing actual sports and actual martial arts, because then you will really see how your glutes are activated in everything and anything that you do. Hiking, basketball, football, boxing, whatever it is, climbing. That's why you see these people, climbers and hiking people, they have really nice butt, because it's used all the time. Incline walking or vertical moving is essentially kind of squatting and using your glutes, right? So that really helps. And need I mention one other exercise that uses your glutes and your hip thrusting a lot? Yeah, do more of that. Most of us have certain parts of our body that are genetically more developed or easier to develop. For example, for me, my chest, my shoulders, and my quads, they tend to respond very well to weight training, and they grow pretty quickly. Whereas my glutes, genetically, I don't have very well developed glutes. Now, you probably have a friend or 2 or 5 who don't do no training. They don't even do hiking, but they have a dump truck butt, okay? And that's genetics. If your genetics are not geared towards a big butt or a big chest or big shoulders or whatever, what does that mean? That just means you might need to give more attention to that specific muscle part. I hope you understand by now how to train and why to train your glutes. You're gonna look better in clothes as well. When you wear those pants, it's gonna have that little curvature, not too much, but just enough. And it's more attractive because it's in the back of your body. It's less show-offy. It's less like, hey, look at my pecs, bro. Look at Chad's pecs. No, Chad Hogan, nobody cares about your pecs. Don't neglect the glutes. See you in the next video.